This is an emotional story about Adrian and Maya. Adrian Castellano's wheelchair was rolling backward toward the cliff. No one was coming to help. "Help!" he screamed into the wind, but the music inside was too loud. Through the big windows, 400 guests in fancy dresses and suits lifted their glasses. They were celebrating his work, his ideas, but his brother was getting all the credit. Not one person looked his way. The edge came closer and closer. Adrian's hands grabbed the wheels, but they just spun. The brake was gone. He had checked it this morning. It was fine then. 10 feet from the edge, the ocean was 200 feet below, crashing against rocks. His father stood 20 feet away through the glass. Marcus Castellano wore an expensive suit. He didn't even look at the terrace. Why would he? His son in the wheelchair knew better than to bother the family at their big party. 5 feet. Through his fear, Adrian had a clear thought. They won't even notice I'm gone. His mother would be glad, one less problem to hide from rich friends. Dominic would get everything without a fight. Isabel could stop pretending her brother in the wheelchair didn't exist. The wheelchair hit the low wall and tipped forward into nothing. Adrian's scream wasn't just a sound. It was every year of being ignored, every stolen idea, every moment of being the Castellano they wished would disappear. The ocean wind took it away as he fell. The chair fell away from him fast, dropping toward the rocks. Adrian fell through the salty air, his body turning, arms reaching for anything. Time felt strange. He saw the big house above him, all glass and steel, saw the lit windows full of people who didn't know his name. "This is easier," something whispered in his mind. "Just let go." The water hit him hard. Cold went through his jacket, his chest, his whole body. The ocean in August should be warm, but down here the water was ice cold. Adrian kicked. Years of doctor visits had given him some movement in his legs, just enough to hurt as the ocean pulled him deeper. His chest hurt. He needed air. His fancy shirt got heavy with water. The surface looked far away, getting darker as he sank. "Stop fighting," the voice came back. "You were drowning long before you hit the water." His brain showed him pictures. 10 years old, his mother taking him out of the family Christmas card. 14, hearing his father tell people he had 2 children who matter. Last Tuesday, watching Dominic show Adrian's work to important people, getting praise for work he didn't do. Adrian's hand reached up one last time, grabbing at darkness, at water, at the ending he'd been moving toward his whole life. Another hand grabbed his arm. Fingers held his hand tight. Through his blurry eyes, Adrian saw her, Maya Santos, his helper, still in her black dress, her dark hair floating like ink as she kicked toward the surface. She'd jumped from the cliff, after him. "No!" Adrian's mind screamed. "No, you'll die too!" But Maya held on with both hands, pulling him up. Her legs kicked hard, fighting the water, fighting everything. They broke through the surface together. Adrian breathed in, choking on air and salt water, his body shaking. Maya kept one arm around his chest, using the other arm to swim toward the rocks at the bottom of the cliff. Waves crashed over them, trying to pull them back down, but she held on. "Stay with me," she said, her voice rough. "Adrian, stay with me." His eyes got dark at the edges. His body wasn't working anymore, closing down from cold and fear. Maya's hand hit his face, hard. Don't you dare give up on me." The rocks came up beneath them. Maya pulled him onto the rocks, both of them falling down on the wet stone. She rolled him onto his side as he coughed up ocean water, his body shaking. "Breathe," Maya cried, her hands on his back, his shoulders. "Just breathe, please." Adrian sucked in air. Each breath hurt. His whole body shook from cold, from fear, from knowing that he'd been seconds from letting go, from choosing the ocean over fighting for one more day of being invisible. "You jumped," his voice came out broken. "You jumped off the cliff." Of course I jumped. Maya's face was above his, wet with tears and ocean water. Her nice hair hung in dark ropes. Her makeup was ruined. The black dress that cost her 2 months of pay was torn at the bottom. What did you think I would do? Stand there and watch you die? Everyone did. The words hung between them. Through the sound of waves, they could hear the music playing. The party kept going. The celebration. Of Dominic's success, of a company built partly on Adrian's smart ideas and completely on making him disappear. No one had heard the splash. No one was looking for them. Maya's hand touched his face, holding his cheek. I noticed. I always notice you. Maya, your break didn't just break. Her voice got sharp despite the tears. Someone messed with your chair. Someone did this on purpose. Adrian stared at her. The words didn't make sense. That's not... Who would? Someone who gets something from you being gone. Maya's eyes looked angry. Someone who's been getting things for years while you sit in the shadows building their company. The truth hit like another wave. His family, someone in his own family had tried to kill him. We need to get you to a hospital. Maya stood up, looking at the cliff. Her whole body shook, but her voice stayed steady. Can you climb? Adrian looked at his legs. Weak, not very strong, cold and numb right now. I can't feel them. Then I'll get help. She pulled out her phone from somewhere in her ruined dress. It still worked in its waterproof case. She always thought ahead. That's what made her so good at her job. No, not just good at her job. That's what made her Maya. Wait, Adrian caught her arm before she could call. Before helicopters and doctors and my family making this into another embarrassment to hide. His throat closed around words he'd never said to anyone. Why did you jump? Maya got down beside him again. Both of them were dripping wet on the rocks, both shaking from cold and fear and something more. Because someone has to fight for you since you won't fight for yourself. You could have died. So could I. Her hand pressed over his heart. She could probably feel it beating fast. You almost did, and you were going to let it happen. I saw it in your eyes right before you fell. Shame burned in Adrian's chest. You don't understand what it's like, being invisible, being nothing. You're not nothing, Maya's voice cracked. You're smart and strong, and you've changed their whole tech company while they pretend you don't exist. You've lived through 28 years of mean treatment that would have broken anyone else. You're... She stopped. I'm what? Everything they're too blind to see. The words hung in the salty air between them. Adrian looked at her face. This woman who'd worked for him for 3 years, dealt with his mother's mean words, watched him give away his work like it didn't matter. Her eyes showed something he'd been too afraid to see. She didn't just work for him. She cared. I'm scared, Adrian said quietly, of needing someone, of letting someone matter. Then we'll be scared together. But first, we live. Then we find out who did this. Then we make them pay. She called 911, her voice turning crisp as she told them where they were. But her other hand never left Adrian's shoulder. Above them, the party kept going. Music and laughter and celebration of everything Adrian had built and got no credit for. His family stood inside, warm and comfortable, drinking fancy drinks, planning futures that didn't include him. They'd tried to erase him for good this time. Adrian looked at Maya, soaking wet, dress ruined, makeup running, still the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen because she'd chosen him. When he was falling, she'd jumped. Maya, she looked down, phone still at her ear. Thank you, Adrian said, for seeing me. Her hand squeezed his shoulder. Always. The helicopter light hit them 3 minutes later, cutting through the dark. The helicopter blades beat against the night sky as doctors worked on Adrian. One put a needle in his arm, while another checked his breathing. They talked in calm, flat voices. Maya sat across from him, still dripping ocean water, her hand never leaving his. Through the helicopter's windows, the Castellano house got smaller, a shining building getting tiny in the distance. Sir, can you tell me your name? The doctor shone a light in Adrian's eyes. Adrian Castellano. Do you know what happened? My wheelchair's brake was taken off and I fell off a cliff while my family partied inside. But Adrian just said, I fell into the ocean. The doctor nodded, writing things down. Adrian lay back, so tired as the fear began to fade. His mind drifted, pulled by cold and fear into memories he usually kept buried. He'd been born broken. That's what his grandmother had called him when he was 7. She didn't know he was listening from the hospital hallway. Poor Victoria. First 2 children perfect, then this one comes broken. The problem with his back was clear from birth. Legs small and weak, muscles not quite right, would never walk normal no matter how many doctors or treatments his parents paid for. By age 6, the wheelchair was forever. By age 10, he'd become the family's biggest shame. Adrian remembered the Christmas card thing clearly. He'd been so excited to wear his new sweater, to be in the family photo. His mother had put them all carefully. Marcus strong in the center, golden-haired Dominic on his right looking perfect, beautiful Isabel on the left in her velvet dress. Okay, Adrian, you can go upstairs now, Victoria had said in a bright, fake voice. The photographer needs just the main family for this picture. Main family, like Adrian wasn't part of it. He'd gone to his room and cried for hours, looking at old year's cards on his wall. Each one showed 4 people, never 5. He'd been erased before he understood what that meant. School was private teachers and online classes, too embarrassing to send the boy in the wheelchair to the fancy school with his perfect brother and sister, too risky that he might struggle, might need help, might remind the world that the Castellano family wasn't perfect. So Adrian learned alone. Smart and lonely, he'd found early that his brain worked different, faster, sharper, able to see patterns others missed. By 12, he was writing computer code. By 14, he'd built his first working program. By 16, he'd passed his teachers and started teaching himself from college materials. His father had noticed he was smart, at least. Marcus wasn't a man who ignored useful things, even broken ones. Your son is amazing, one of Adrian's computer teachers had told Marcus. His understanding of hard systems is college level already. With proper school, he could change the tech world. Marcus had looked at Adrian then, really looked. And for a one shining moment, Adrian had thought maybe his brain could make up for his broken body. Maybe his father would finally see him as valuable. We'll use that, Marcus had said. Every Castellano helps the family business. And they had used it, just not the way Adrian had hoped. College at MIT had been the best 4 years of Adrian's life. 3,000 miles from his family, around people who cared about computers more than looks, treated like a person instead of a problem. Teachers praised his smart thinking. Classmates asked for his help. For the first time, Adrian had been seen. But graduation meant coming back to New York, to the family business, to reality. Marcus had given him a job in the tech part of the company, not because he believed in Adrian, but because ignoring Adrian's 2 college degrees would have been wasteful. But the office was in the basement, tucked away where clients wouldn't see the boy in the wheelchair. Adrian had told himself it was fine. He didn't need to be seen. He just needed to create, to make new things, to prove his worth through his work. Then he'd made the Henderson algorithm. 18 months of work, solving a computer problem that had stumped everyone, creating a system so good that it would change how the company handled information. Adrian had been so proud, showing it to his boss with shaking hands and hope in his chest. 2 weeks later, Dominic showed the Henderson algorithm to the big bosses. Adrian had watched from the basement on a video feed. His brother charmed important people with descriptions of his smart work, watched Dominic get standing ovations, watched the stock price jump, watched his father hug the golden boy with clear pride. "Great work, son. This is exactly the kind of smart thinking that will make you CEO." When Adrian had talked to his boss, the man was sorry but firm. "Your brother has the presence for big presentations, the charm. You understand, right? You're great with the technical work, but leadership needs face time, public confidence. Let Dominic handle the spotlight while you do what you do best. Create in the background." The background, where Adrian belonged. It happened again with the Redstone integration system, and again with the Phoenix AI platform. Each time, Adrian's smart ideas became Dominic's wins. Each success that should have built Adrian's name instead built his brother's legend as the smart genius leading Castellano Corporation into the future. By 26, Adrian had stopped fighting. He worked 80-hour weeks, creating ideas worth billions, getting nothing but a check and the occasional good work from bosses who had no idea what he'd done. He'd become a ghost in his own life, there but unseen, contributing but uncredited, existing but erased. Until 3 years ago, when Maya Santos walked into his basement office for a job interview. She'd been 26, fresh from business school, really needing work after her last job disappeared. Adrian had expected her to quit within weeks like the others. 2 had found the basement office too sad. 1 was mean about working for the broken Castellano. But Maya had been different from the first moment. "Mr. Castellano," she shook his hand with firm confidence. "I've looked at the projects from your division. The smart work is amazing. I'd be honored to help someone with your skills." The words were professional, but something in her eyes suggested she knew, really knew, what was happening in this basement office. "My skills aren't exactly celebrated around here," Adrian said carefully. "Then they're fools," she said it simply, like a fact. The Henderson algorithm made 40% better. The Redstone integration made $2 billion in new money. Only an idiot would fail to see genius creating their fortune. Adrian stared at her, speechless. In his whole life, no one outside of college teachers had talked about his work like this. "You've done your homework," he managed to say. "I don't work for people without understanding what they actually do." Maya sat across from his desk, sitting up straight. "And I know that if I take this job, I'll be part of your erasure unless I push back." "Then why take the job?" "Because someone should be in your corner, and because I'm very good at keeping records." Her smile was sharp. "If you ever decide to fight for credit, I'll make sure you have proof." He hired her right then. For 3 years, Maya had been exactly what she promised, managing her crazy schedule, dealing with her mother's mean words with professional grace, quietly writing down every innovation, every project, every stolen achievement. But she'd also become something unexpected, a friend, someone who noticed when he was in pain and brought medicine without being asked, who learned how he liked his coffee and made sure he had a fresh cup during late-night work sessions, who stayed late not because her job required it, but because she seemed to really enjoy their talks. She'd seen him, not his wheelchair, not his family's shame, him. And somewhere in those 3 years of late nights and stolen conversations and moments when Maya would look up from her laptop and say, "You're brilliant, you know that," and actually mean it, Adrian had fallen completely in love with her. He'd never said anything. The power thing made it wrong. She was his employee, depending on him for her job. But more than that, Adrian had been terrified. Everyone he'd ever needed had hurt him, his family most of all. Loving Maya meant giving her the power to destroy him more completely than his parents ever could. So he'd stayed quiet, accepting her friendship while privately treasuring every smile, every time she defended him to his mother, every time she stayed late and they'd talk about computers and artificial intelligence and dreams of what technology could become. He'd been drowning in loneliness and invisibility before he hit that ocean. And tonight, when he literally was drowning, Maya jumped. The helicopter started going down towards Southampton Hospital. Adrian opened his eyes to find Maya watching him, with worry on her face. "Where did you go?" she asked softly. "The past, remembering how I got here. Here as in the helicopter, or here as in 28 years of being erased?" "Both." Maya's hand squeezed his. "You're not invisible anymore, Adrian. Not after tonight. Not after what someone tried to do to you." If you have gotten to this point, kindly hit the subscribe button so you can stay updated when I drop a new video. Now, let's go back into the story. What happens when we land? My family will already be making up the story. Tragic accident, mechanical failure, poor Adrian in the wheelchair and his broken equipment. Then we don't let them control the story. Maya's eyes blazed. We find out who messed with your chair. We get proof, and we make them see you, Adrian, really see you, even if we have to burn their whole company down to do it. The helicopter touched down on the hospital's roof. Doctors moved fast to put Adrian on a rolling bed, but he caught Maya's arm. "Don't leave me," he said, meaning it in ways that had nothing to do with the hospital. "Never," Maya promised. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." As they rolled him through Southampton Hospital's private entrance, Adrian held on to that promise. Tomorrow would bring his family, their explanations, their attempts to control everything. But tonight, he had Maya. And for the first time in 28 years, Adrian Castellano had someone willing to fight for him. Someone who'd proven it by jumping off a cliff without hesitation. Now it was time to rise from the depths and claim everything they'd tried to take from him. Southampton Hospital's private wing smelled like money and cleaning supplies. Adrian sat up in the bed while his third doctor checked him. Maya stood guard by the door in borrowed hospital clothes, her damp hair pulled back tight, refusing to leave despite angry demands. "This is family business," Victoria Castellano said sharply from the corner. She stood in the vintage dress she'd chosen for the party, not a hair out of place, diamonds shining at her throat. "Your staff, Miss Santos." "I'm the person who saved his life while you were networking." Maya's voice stayed professional, but Adrian heard the steel underneath. "I'm staying." The door burst wider. Marcus Castellano entered in his expensive suit, looking powerful. Behind him, Isabel looked nervous in her fancy outfit. She changed from her party dress because even emergencies required proper styling. They stopped short, seeing Maya on Adrian's bed, their hands held together. "Miss Santos, you're dismissed," Victoria began. "She stays," Adrian said, his voice carrying power he'd never used with his mother. "Or you leave. Your choice." Victoria's face went red with anger. Marcus studied his youngest son with an unreadable look. "Adrian, you nearly died," Victoria tried again. "And whose fault is that?" Adrian put her off. "My wheelchair brake didn't just break. Someone took it off. Someone tried to erase me." The room went deadly silent. "That's a serious thing to say," Marcus said carefully. "It's a serious crime." Adrian held his father's eyes. "I checked that brake myself this morning. It was working perfectly. By 6 p.m., it was completely gone. 3 hours later, I was rolling backward off your terrace." "You're suggesting one of our guests?" Victoria began. "I'm suggesting someone with access to the house, someone who knew which wheelchair I'd be using, someone who gets something from my death." Adrian paused. "Someone in this family." Isabel gasped. Victoria went pale. Marcus stayed still. "I want security videos," Adrian continued. "Every camera on that terrace, every angle from the whole day." "Absolutely not," Victoria said immediately. "Do you have any idea what kind of scandal?" "Your son almost died." Maya's quiet words cut through. "And you're worried about scandal?" Victoria's eyes got dangerous. "This is precisely why you should leave, Miss Santos. You're clearly becoming too personally invested." "She stays," Adrian's command froze his mother mid-sentence. She's the only one who was invested enough to notice I was gone. She jumped off a cliff to save me while all of you stood 20 feet away celebrating. The truth landed like a physical blow. Victoria's perfect face cracked. Marcus's jaw got tight. Only Isabel looked truly sad, tears starting to fall. "Where's Dominic?" Adrian asked quietly. The question exploded like a bomb. "Your brother is at the house," Marcus said, his voice carefully controlled, managing the guests, explaining your absence. "How convenient." Adrian's laugh held no humor. "What story did you pick? Mechanical failure? Tragic accident with the boy and the wheelchair's broken equipment?" The looks on his parents' faces confirmed everything. "Security videos," Adrian repeated. "Tomorrow. Or I call the police and make this a criminal investigation. Your choice." Marcus finally moved, walking to stand at the foot of Adrian's bed. "If we provide this footage and it shows what you're suggesting, then justice," Adrian said simply, "whatever that looks like." "You'd destroy your own brother?" Adrian thought about 8 years of stolen credit, tonight's attempted murder, 28 years of being erased. He tried to destroy me first. He just didn't expect Maya to jump. Marcus nodded slowly. "Tomorrow, security will pull the footage. But, Adrian, if you're wrong about this..." "I'm not wrong." Adrian's voice went cold. "And when that footage proves it, you'll have to decide whether you value truth or image more." His father didn't answer. He simply turned and left, Victoria following after one last mean look at Maya. Isabel stayed near the door. "Adrian, I never thought..." "Get out, Isabel." "But..." "Out." She ran away. When they were alone, Adrian finally let himself fall back against the pillows. His whole body shook, from being tired, from anger, from the crushing weight of nearly dying while his family celebrated. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, her hands on his face. "Breathe." "I can't. They didn't..." "Even..." His voice broke. "I noticed. I'm always noticing you, Adrian. Always." "Why?" The question came out raw. "Why do you care?" "Because I've been in love with you since you stayed late to help me fix code for my second week, since you defended me to your mother, since every moment you've been you, brilliant and kind and so much better than they deserve." Adrian stared at her, unable to process the words. "I know this crosses every line," Maya continued quickly. "I know tomorrow I should probably quit and..." He caught her arm, pulling her closer. Don't quit. Don't leave. I need..." The words stuck in his throat. "What do you need?" "You." The word tore from somewhere deep. "I need you. And it scares me because everyone I've ever needed has used it to hurt me." Maya's hands moved to his face. "Then we'll be scared together. But don't push me away because you're scared. Not after I just pulled you from the ocean." Adrian kissed her then. 3 years of buried feelings crashing together like waves. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he kept his hands in her hair. "I love you. I've loved you for so long." "Then let's fight together," Maya whispered fiercely, "and win." The security video played on Adrian's laptop in his beach house office the next morning. Maya stood behind his wheelchair as they watched. 6:47 p.m., the terrace empty except for final preparations. Then Dominic appeared, golden boy in perfect suit, champagne in hand, walking with casual confidence. He looked around, once, twice, making sure he was alone. Then he got down beside Adrian's wheelchair. "Pause it," Maya whispered. Adrian froze the frame. His brother's face filled the screen, handsome, rich, calculating. Even in the still picture, no hesitation showed. "Keep going," Maya said, her hand squeezing Adrian's shoulder. Dominic's hands moved with steady precision, taking off the brake. 37 seconds, no fumbling, just careful elimination. Of his brother. When Dominic stood, he put the brake in his pocket, smoothed his suit, and walked away. casual, like he'd simply stepped out for air. Adrian played it again. Each time made his blood colder. "He's done this before," Maya said. "Look at his hands. He knew exactly what he was doing." "My brother tried to erase me." The words felt unreal. Maya got down in front of Adrian's wheelchair. "What do you want to do?" Adrian stared at the frozen image. "I want what I've earned." His voice went cold. "And I have something they want." He pulled up blueprints he'd been developing for 2 years in secret. Prometheus AI integration system, worth at least $500 million in new contracts. I kept it separate, worked on it here. It's mine. Maya's eyes got wide. "This is amazing." "I know." Adrian met her eyes. "Here's my offer. Full credit for all my work. Board seat with voting rights, profit sharing going back in time, Dominic removed from succession and sent away, you recognized as division co-founder with equity." He paused. "They meet my terms, or I take this, take the engineers who'd follow me, and build a competitor that destroys them." "If we do this, they'll come after me too," Maya said. "I know, and I'm scared to ask." "I already risked everything. I jumped off a cliff for you." Maya touched his face. "I'm all in, Adrian." The Castellano Tower boardroom had never felt more like a battlefield. Adrian arrived with Maya beside him in sharp business clothes, plus 2 lawyers carrying evidence. Marcus sat at the table's head. Victoria sat to his right, anger barely contained. Isabel looked nervous. Dominic's chair sat empty, ordered to stay in London. "Shall we begin?" Adrian opened his laptop, turning it so everyone could see. The security footage played in terrible silence. Dominic looking around, getting down, taking off the brake. 37 seconds of attempted murder. When it ended, Isabel was crying. Victoria looked faint. Marcus stayed still, hands tight. "Attempted murder," Adrian said, "planned ahead, and you all stood celebrating while I fell." "What do you want?" Marcus asked quietly. Adrian showed his terms. Full public credit for every innovation, board seat with voting rights, profit sharing going back in time, $40 million, ownership and control of Prometheus AI integration system. He showed the plans. Marcus leaned forward, seeing brilliance. "This is amazing," his father said. "I know, I built it." Adrian met his eyes. "Meet these terms in writing, or I take it and build a competitor that destroys you." Maya showed venture capital letters. $200 million in funding ready. He's not bluffing. "What about Dominic?" Isabel whispered. "Removed from succession, sent away to Singapore. Public apology." Adrian's voice went ice cold. "This is mercy. I could press charges, make this a police matter. Instead, private resolution." "And if we refuse?" Marcus asked. "Press conference tomorrow. I release the footage, announce Prometheus Technologies as your competitor. Every engineer willing to testify." Adrian paused. "Your stock crashes, your reputation breaks. I'll feel 0 guilt." Silence filled the room. Marcus stood, walking to windows overlooking his company. When he turned, his voice carried unexpected weight. "I failed you as a father. I let image override responsibility. I watched Dominic steal your work." He moved back. "I'm sorry for all of it. I'll meet your terms, all of them. Dominic will be sent away permanently, shares taken, positions gone." Adrian felt something crack in his chest. "In writing, no tricks." "Agreed. But I'd like the chance to know you, really know you, as my son." Adrian studied the man who'd pretended he had 2 children. "One dinner, next month. You, me, Maya. Just truth." "Thank you," Marcus said quietly. As they left, Isabel caught Adrian in the hall. "I'm sorry for every cruel joke, every time I left you out. I was wrong." Adrian studied his sister. "Apologies don't erase pain. but show me through actions. Be the sister you should have been." "I will," she promised. In the elevator going down, Maya wrapped her arms around Adrian. "You did it." "We did it," Adrian corrected. Photographers waited in the lobby. Cameras flashed, but Adrian didn't shrink. He was done being invisible. The beach ceremony was small and special. Maya walked toward Adrian through golden sunlight in a white dress that took his breath away. He stood to meet her. Actually stood. No wheelchair, just special leg braces and 6 months of therapy. His legs shook, but he stayed up. "Adrian, you're standing." "Wanted to meet my wife eye to eye." She kissed him before the ceremony even started. The vows were simple. Promises to dive into any depth, to stand beside each other always. The past 18 months had changed everything. News releases told about Adrian's contributions. Magazines featured him. The genius they hid. Dominic was sent away, reputation destroyed. Isabel worked to fix their relationship. Marcus tried, monthly dinners, honest conversations. Prometheus launched to huge success. The culture shifted. At the party after, Marcus came over. "You look happy." "I am." Adrian looked at Maya. "Being seen and valued tends to do that." "I'm proud of you, Adrian. I should have said that 28 years ago." Later, at sunset, Adrian and Maya stood on the beach where she'd saved him. "Do you ever think about that night?" Adrian asked. "Every day. It changed everything." "I was ready to let go." "I know. That's why I jumped." Her hand found his chest. "I couldn't let you go." "Ready for the next adventure?" Maya's hand moved to her stomach. 12 weeks. We're having a baby." Adrian's hand covered hers, overwhelmed. "What if our child has my condition?" "Then they'll grow up surrounded by love," Maya said fiercely. "They'll never know what it's like to be hidden. We're breaking that cycle. Our child will be seen, celebrated, loved no matter what." Adrian pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you so much it scares me." "Good. Love should be scary. It means it matters." As the sun set over the ocean, Adrian held his wife and thought about the journey from drowning to rising, from invisible to seen. He'd fallen from a cliff and almost died, but Maya had jumped after him, and in saving him, she'd given him everything: love without conditions, partnership without limits, certainty that he was worth fighting for. The fall had almost destroyed him, but rising had saved him. The ocean crashed forever against the shore, but Adrian Castellano was no longer drowning. He was flying.